that you'll enjoy a lot. These are all poems from the Poetry Foundation website, so they're accessible to you. You can just go there and read these to your heart's content. If you're watching this on the replay, you can even wait after I say the title, search for the poem I'm reading, and read alongside me. That would be amazing. The first poem I'm going to read today is by a poet named Al Young. I've never read Al Young's poetry before. That's another great thing of going to the Poetry Foundation website, because the Poetry Foundation website is a compilation of every single issue of the Poetry Magazine, which has been around for more than 100 years. So much poetry for you to read and enjoy. So this poem by Al Young has two, what I feel like are prompts built right into the container of the poem. One is, who the hell am I? And the second one is, what will are we speaking of? Because his final sentence, final line in the poem, has the word will. And it made me think, does he mean that thing that after we die is all written up and divvies up our stuff? Or is it will like when we have a will to do something, the will or the way? I'm also doing an experiment today where I'm on airplane. Nobody's here, which is unusual, but that's okay. We're going to keep going. Hello and welcome. So we're going to go ahead and read this poem. And I'm grateful for every person who comes into this place, this space. I feel very blessed to have you here in my life. And it's K&Ro Hiking Happens. Yay, so grateful you're here. Amazing channel, replay viewers. You will want to hang out with K&Ro Hiking Happens. They're amazing people and dear friends. So this poem prompts, who the hell am I? And what will are we speaking of here? Okay, this is Key to the Dollar Store by Al Young. Just tell me who the hell I am. What powers did I or do I hold? What right have I to say my or mine or me, all honey glazed, all bulletproofed and worshipful of any gangster I? The key to the dollar store hangs on my belt. Yes, my again. And what of roof, of bread, of loving laughter? Who's in? My vintage vinyl favorite, Booker Little, soothes me. He jars our ears with trumpet joy and stuffs freed folks' stash in cabinets. Never one to make too much of why we love and what. I love my powers. I might put you in my will. You're wondering, Kevin and Ro, that first question, who the hell am I? I asked myself that same question, how does Al Young? And he is a poet who was born in Mississippi, raised into adulthood. Hi, Cindy, so good to see you. Raised up as an adult in Stanford and Berkeley. He was a professor at Stanford. He was a California Poet Laureate, and I'd never heard of him before. So, Cindy, this is one of our people asking, who the hell am I? So that's a good question. Good question to be in. And what will are we speaking of? When I think about my will, exerting my will, like I sometimes try to do over my granddaughter. And I don't mean that meanly. It's just wanting her to enjoy what I enjoy, that sort of thing. It's so good to see you all. If you have the idea to like this video, I'd very much appreciate that. Okay. By the way, all these poems come from poetryfoundation.com, which is a compilation of every single issue of Poetry Magazine from their beginnings over 100 years ago. Many of these are from this week's or this month's issue, January and February. So they literally put it right out so that we may all enjoy it. So, okay, I love this one. This is really good for people who enjoy writing themselves. It's called On Paper by Jacqueline Woodson. The first time I write my full name, Jacqueline Amanda Woodson, without anybody's help, on a clean page in my composition notebook, I know if I wanted to, I could write anything. Letters becoming words, words gathering meaning, becoming thoughts outside my head, becoming sentences. Written by Jacqueline Amanda Woodson. Our Mama Raccoon, thank you for those interesting thoughts. Those are sentences just like Jacqueline Wilson said, or Woodson said. I'm going to read that again. The first time I write my full name, Jacqueline Amanda Woodson, without anybody's help, on a clean page in my composition notebook, I know if I wanted to, I could write anything. Letters becoming words, words gathering meaning, becoming thoughts outside my head, becoming sentences written by Jacqueline Amanda Woodson. Now, Jacqueline Woodson, one of the reasons I chose this poem was because it's about writing. And she also was born exactly a year after me. And she's won several awards. She's written 30 books, and she's gotten awards including the Coretta Scott King Honor Award, the Jane Addams Children's Book Award, and the Los Angeles Times Book Awards. Hi, Emily. So good to see you. She wrote, I am born in Ohio, but the stories of South Carolina already run like rivers through my veins. She's just like, right on, Jacqueline Woodson. I really think you would like that poem, Miss M. And all these poems today come from the Poetry Foundation website. So if you look up, go to the Poetry Foundation website, not necessarily now, but you could read right along. Okay, the next poem is I Imagine the Gods by Jack Gilbert. Now, Jack Gilbert, interesting guy. I don't think I've heard of one of the poems I'm sharing today. Jack Gilbert was a really remarkable poet who published very few poems. And the poems that he did publish were remarkable. He kind of put himself into exile in Paris. He won an award. He won the Yale Young Poets Award. And then he moved to Paris and basically stopped writing very much. He's only published 4 books. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and go with this. He also wrote a line that I appreciate. I am not a professional of poetry. I am a farmer of poetry. I like that. I like that imagery of thinking about being a farmer of poetry with your hoe and your rake and all your equipment. And of course, I didn't picture the big mega corporate farms. I pictured the smaller farms. So here we go. So this kind of goes really well too with our first poem, where the question it starts with, just tell me, who the hell am I? So who the hell am I to this one? I Imagine the Gods by Jack Gilbert. I imagine the gods saying, we will make it up to you. We will give you 3 wishes, they say. Let me see the squirrels again, I tell them. Let me eat some of the great hog stuffed and roasted on a giant spit and put out, steaming, into the winter of my neighborhood when I was usually too broke to afford even the 100 grams I ate so happily, walking up the cobbles past the street of the moon and the street of the birdcage makers, the street of silence. We can give you wisdom, they say in their rich voices. Let me go at last to Huguette, I say, the Algerian student who timidly invited me into her room when I was too young and bewildered that first year in Paris. Let me at least fail in my life. Think, they say patiently, we could make you famous again. Let me fall in love one last time, I beg them. Teach me mortality, frighten me into the present. Help me find the heft of these days, that the nights will be full enough and my heart feral. Yes, I'm with you, Jack Gilbert. Jack Gilbert also I was reminded this weekend, I saw the musical of Groundhog's Day. If you've ever seen the movie Groundhog Day, I think the musical pushed it up a notch. Incredible performances, but it reminded me of that. Help me to find the heft of these days, that the nights will be full enough and my heart feral. Love that. Yes, I know. I'm surprised my eyes didn't tear up on that one. But what did make my eyes tear up is, let me at least fail at my life. Let me at least fail at my life. You know, let me have that incredible experience walking down the street, eating that hog on the spit. And since I'm on this trip that I'm on right now I'm in the place where I went to high school, my second high school in Dana Point, California. And oh my gosh, it is so incredibly beautiful here. And when I was younger, I had no clue, no idea. And it has been a joy to be here. I'm so grateful that I decided to do this. Okay. Welcome. Anyone who's here or haven't greeted yet, I'm so glad that you're here. If you have a chance to like this video, I'd really appreciate it. And this next poem is by one of the famous current day poets named Maggie Smith. You might know her from her poetry, also from her memoir called Things Could Be Beautiful Here, I believe is the title of her memoir, which I have not read yet. But she's a very popular current poet. And this one is called The Before Picture, which I also really appreciate, even that concept. Okay. And I could also relate to the message of this poem. The Before Picture by Maggie Smith. It's complicated, my relationship status with progress. I often prefer the before picture. The future is where I'm going only because I have no choice. Because time moves in one direction, dragging a bit of itself behind like meat. An unseen hand keeps tugging it. An unseen, let me do it again. These are all written. I wrote these into my little journal here my cousin gave me. Let me start that again. Okay, I got it. I got it now. We're going to start again. What happened when, as an actor, I got stuck in my head because I was thinking as I was reading. One cannot think as they read. One has to read while they read. No thinking. She reminds herself, stepping outside of herself as director for a moment. Okay. It's complicated, my relationship status with progress. I often prefer the before picture. The future is where I'm going only because I have no choice, because time moves in one direction, dragging a bit of itself behind like meat. An unseen hand keeps tugging it, time's rabbit leg, time's hunk of red venison just out of reach. Did I describe the future as bait? Am I strung along? I know when I arrive there, it won't be there. It won't be that. It'll be now, the way it is right now. And again, refresh, refresh, refresh. The befores pile up behind me. It's now again. That's The Before Picture by Maggie Smith. Yes, a bit of science fiction there. I'm listening to an airplane out the window. At first I thought it was the waves getting really big, but it's not. All right. I wish I could have taken you outside. I might experiment going outside live because this place is beautiful. All right. I have 2 more to go. Yes, it is a very beautiful, refresh. Dana Point is an incredibly beautiful shore town, or as we call them here, beach towns. I went on a morning walk this morning, and yesterday my morning walk was on the bluffs in Bakersfield. This morning's morning walk was on a bluff in Dana Point. They're quite different, and they're both quite beautiful in their own ways. So, yes. And it's changed so much since I lived here 40 years ago. We won in high school. Even more than 40 years ago. Yeah, hello, Julie. My 45th reunion was last year that I didn't go to. Anyway, this poem is called by a number, 2019 by Ricardo Reis. And Ricardo Reis is a persona of Portuguese writer and poet Fernando Pessoa. Never heard of this man. Okay. It's short. So we're kind of going through the same question over and over again this morning. Who the hell am I? Who the hell am I? What am I doing here? What time is it? What's happening? So here we go. 219. Ricardo Reis. Inside us live innumerable others. If I think or feel, I do not know who is thinking or feeling. I am only the place where feeling and thinking happen. I have more than one soul. There are more ones than just I myself, and yet I remain completely indifferent to them all. I silence them. I speak. The crisscrossing impulses of what I feel and what I don't feel argue inside the person. Inside the person I am. I ignore them. They dictate nothing. They dictate nothing to me. I know I am. I write. Emily, can you relate to that? I know I am. I write. Oh, I love it. All right. Our final poem of today is called Expression by Jane Huffman. And the reason that I chose this poem is twofold. One is that Jane Huffman is a mere 34 years old, the same age as my daughter. So I feel like it was fun to use a poem by someone who's young instead of people who've been dead for decades. And also, she talks about having a cough and being stuck in her throat. And so anyone who's into things like chakras, your throat chakra is where your creative expression comes out, where your voice comes out, not just the spoken voice, but written voice, creative voice. And like Jane, I get a bad cough. That's how I closed last week's poems, was I had a coughing fit. That was terrible. That's embarrassing. And of course, when I talk about it, it comes up. So here we go. Expression by Jane Huffman. The dilemma is one of expression. My expression, my cough, speaks for me. What I want to express is very little. I must express it over and over again. My cough, my expression speaks for me. A little blot of phlegm in my mind. I must express it over and over again. When my cough is productive, it shakes a little blot of phlegm from my mind, an idea from the back of my throat. When it is unproductive, it wakes me, a compulsion without the lack. When it's unproductive, it wakes me, a compulsion without the clarity of compulsion. Interesting. All right, here I have to do the whole stanza again. I'm thinking, Julie, stop. Okay, we're gonna start from the top. Interestingly enough, connection between acting and writing and reading and expression is that when I am reading, when I haven't memorized a work that I'm working on or that I'm performing, I've been told so many times by fellow directors, don't apologize when you make a mistake. Just go through it. All right, you ready? And since Miss M/Emily said she can relate to that, let's do it again. Without apologies. Expression by Jane Huffman. The dilemma is one of expression. My expression, my cough, speaks for me. What I want to express is very little. I must express it over and over again. My cough, my expression speaks for me. A little blot of phlegm in my mind. I must express it over and over again. When my cough is productive, it shakes a little blot of phlegm from my mind, an idea from the back of my throat. When it is unproductive, it wakes me, a compulsion without the clarity of compulsion, an idea in the back of my throat, my dilemma, is expression without clarity, compulsory to me as my cough. What I want is to express every letter. Much better when I didn't think. So that's Expression by Jane Huffman, who apparently has a similar situation to me with my cough. And I've oftentimes said that I soothe my cough. I tell my cough it's safe. Yes, I want to express every letter. You get that too, don't you, Emily? I'll tell my cough, you're safe. It's okay. You're safe here. Thank you. Thank you, Kevin Rowe. So those are the poems for today. I did not read from my book. I read from writing these poems down from the Poetry Foundation website. I really enjoy, one of the things I noticed is that when I wrote from into my notebook, that when I was done copying from the Poetry Foundation website, when I wrote after that, did actual writing, my writing was really pretty flowing and pretty good and different in little bits and pieces. And it reminded me of one of my high school English teachers who suggested, and part of our weekly assignments were to hand copy other people's writing. And I didn't understand why we were doing that. He didn't tell us what to copy. We could copy anything. So I did things like copying out of Rolling Stone magazine. That was one of my favorite. I subscribed to that. And I would copy articles and novels that probably weren't very well written. But it helps. So if you are a writer who is stuck or who is going through a part where your expression is like that phlegm in your throat, you might want to try copying some poems out of Poetry Foundation website or something that is free. You can also get all kinds of classics that are, they've passed they have no copyright, so you can copy those. And I think any kind of writing like that, and writing by hand is really good to do too. So there you go. Any thoughts before we leave today? We've been a nice, intimate group for most of the time. You did love today's poems. I'm so glad, Emily. I'm so glad. If you haven't checked out Poetry Foundation website, I hope that you will. It's one of my very favorites. They have poems. They also have articles and essays and recordings of poems. It's a very, very rich website. Thank you so much. Oh, it's okay. It's all right, Kim. We read some really great poems. I hope that you'll watch the replay. It's totally fine. It's good. I'm glad that you're here at all. I'm really grateful for each person who was able to stop by, even just momentarily or on the replay. I really appreciate you. I also noticed, that's funny, the phlegm poem. It's called Expression. That's often. Okay, well, it's cool that you're here. As I was saying, I'm grateful for each person who comes in, no matter when, no matter 6 months from now watching the replay. I'm grateful for you. And I noticed my gratitude and intention live. I started it when no one's here. When I start, I feel like my beginning is stronger. And so I noticed that the replay viewers were quite active on the replay. Yes, and I really am grateful. And I do always come back and see what people have to say. So hopefully the replay crew will come in loud and strong and enjoy the poems as well. Okay, now I'm going to have the horrible time of going for a bunch of walks today out here in Dana Point, California. That will be what I'll be doing for the majority of the early part of the day. I'm also going to go to a town, if you're wanting to Google, I'll be going into San Juan Capistrano. San Juan Capistrano is where the swallows return. Yes, that's good. I like the replay crew. Does San Juan Capistrano sound terrible? Oh, no, I see, you're catching my sarcasm. San Juan Capistrano is where the swallows return. It's right next to our Dana Point. It's also where the McDonald's is where I worked in high school. It's still there. The Jack in the Box where my sister and brother worked here in Dana Point is now a Starbucks. I was sad. And I will just tell you that the very not so great thing, I'm going to be grieving this for a while. So I was driving yesterday or day before yesterday in Dana Point, not in Dana Point, in Bakersfield. Yes, I know. It's terrible that I have to walk. Oh my goodness. It's been rainy. The weather's not been good. My favorite trail is closed because of flooding and erosion. So I'm like, oh my God. But that's not what made me sad, because I can come back to that. I can come back to that. But I have a favorite grove of sweet gum trees in Bakersfield on the corner of Merle Haggard Drive and Pegasus Drive. And sometime between last year when I was here and this year, they built a new building right by those sweet gums. So much so that only one of the sweet gum trees remains of that sweet gum grove. I drove past it at night and I was like, wait a second, I just drove past Pegasus. So that's really sad. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I'll go in. I'll go behind the bar. The thing about that McDonald's is when I worked there, we didn't even have a drive-through, but they have the same counter. I mean, everything's pretty much the same. I went in there, last time I went inside was in 2007. I just remember because my brother was ill at the time and I went to see him at the hospital. But yeah, I haven't actually been inside there for quite a few years, almost 20 years. I don't know how on earth time passes so quickly now that I'm no longer young. Anyway, thank you all for being here, both for the chat after and for the poems inside. I appreciate you. I appreciate the replay crew, if any of you are still hanging on. I think I'm going to call them that from now on. It's a brilliant name. Brilliant name. Have a great week. We'll be back next Wednesday. Take good care.